Welcome back to Midnight Whispers. Don't forget to subscribe, turn off the lights, and let's step into something you can't unhear. Tonight's story is one that's been buried under layers of denial, secrets, and fear. I thought I knew everything about my family until the day I found that picture, the one that changed everything I believed about who I am. I grew up in a small house just outside of town, where the walls always seemed to listen, and silence was something we were all used to living with. I never questioned much about my childhood because it felt ordinary. Too ordinary, maybe, like a memory that's been rewritten a few too many times until it stops feeling real. My mom was gentle but distant. My dad was quiet, and there was always this strange tension whenever I asked about old family photos. We didn't have many, just a few albums tucked away in the attic. And any time I asked to see them, my mom would say something like, "Oh, honey, those are just old memories. Nothing interesting there." But something about the way she said it made me feel like she was hiding something. I was 15 when it started, those moments where I'd feel like someone was watching me, not from outside, but from within the corners of my own reflection. Sometimes I'd pass by a mirror and swear I saw another face just behind mine. Same eyes, same hair, but a little off, like she blinked a second later than I did. I thought I was losing it. Maybe it was stress, maybe too many late nights, but it kept happening. Once in the bathroom mirror, once in a store window, and once in a photo that wasn't supposed to exist. I remember the day so vividly. It was raining outside. The air smelled like dust and mildew when I climbed into the attic looking for an old book for school. That's when I found the box. A dusty cardboard thing covered in masking tape and scribbles that read, "Do not open." My name wasn't on it, but somehow I knew it belonged to me. I opened it anyway, and inside were photos, dozens of them, old Polaroids, faded color, most of them normal family stuff, birthdays, trips, holidays. But one photo made my chest tighten. It was of me. At least I thought it was me, standing in a backyard I didn't recognize, smiling at the camera with another girl. A girl who looked exactly like me. Same face, same age, same clothes. Only difference was, she was holding my favorite doll, the one my mom said got lost when I was 5. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. I kept staring at the photo, flipping it over in my hands. And on the back someone had written, "Me and Leela, 1999. But my name isn't Leela. My name is Emily. I ran downstairs clutching that photo like proof of something I couldn't even explain. When I showed it to my mom, her face went pale. She froze for a few seconds before snatching the picture out of my hand. "Where did you find this?" she whispered, not angry, just terrified. I told her it was in the attic, and she muttered something under her breath before saying, "That's not you, Emily. That's just a cousin you met once." But I'd never had a cousin who looked like me. She tore the photo in half right there and threw it into the trash. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the name Leela. It echoed in my head like it was part of me, like I'd heard it my whole life, but just forgot. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. I started hearing someone humming in my room at night, a soft melody that I didn't recognize, but somehow could hum along to perfectly, like it was ours. I'd wake up to find things moved, my brush out of place, my window open even though I locked it. And once, my doll, the same kind from that photo, sitting on my desk. I asked my mom about it, but she insisted she never bought it. I started digging through every record I could find: birth certificates, old school papers, family albums. And that's when I found something missing. The year I was born. There was no hospital record, just a name change form, mine. Changed from Leela Emerson to Emily Grace Emerson. Same date of birth, same parents' signatures. My stomach turned cold as ice. I realized I wasn't missing a sister. I was missing myself, or maybe half of me. I confronted my mom again, but she broke down crying before I could even speak. She said things I still don't fully understand about the incident, about how one of us didn't survive, about how they had to choose. I screamed, asking what she meant, and she just kept saying, "You were sick, Emily. You weren't supposed to remember." I stormed out of the house and ran until my legs gave out. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed answers. I found myself back at the old park we used to visit when I was little. There was a bench there, carved with initials E+L, and beneath it, a date, the same year as that photo. I sat there until night fell, and that's when I heard it again. That same humming, this time closer behind me. I turned and saw a girl standing by the swings, her hair dripping wet, her dress white but stained with dirt. She looked like me, but thinner, paler, her eyes full of something I couldn't name. She smiled and whispered, "You forgot about me." I froze, unable to move or breathe. She took a step forward, and every instinct told me to run, but I couldn't. I felt drawn to her, like gravity, like she was part of me calling home. She reached out her hand, and when I touched her, I felt a shock, like static and ice running through my veins. And suddenly, I wasn't in the park anymore. I was back in my old room, only it looked different. Older, darker, the wallpaper peeling, the air cold. And in the mirror, I saw both of us standing side by side, smiling. And for a second, I thought I understood. Maybe I'd been the one who didn't survive. Maybe she'd been the one living all along. The next morning, I woke up in my bed, sunlight spilling through the curtains like nothing ever happened. The photo was gone, my clothes were dry, and my mom acted like everything was normal. She made breakfast and talked about errands. But when I looked closer, I realized she wasn't wearing her wedding ring, something she never took off. I asked about it, and she just smiled, a strange, distant smile, and said, "Leela, stop worrying." I froze. She called me Leela, my name. The one she said wasn't real. The room spun for a second, and I felt that cold feeling crawl back into my chest. I excused myself and ran upstairs. I opened my phone camera just to see my face, but the reflection looked slightly different. My eyes were a shade darker, my hair shorter like hers. I called my best friend, but when she answered, she said, "Who is this?" and hung up. My social media accounts were gone. My room had different posters, different clothes. It was like I'd stepped into another version of my life, only not mine. I searched every inch of that house for proof that I still existed, but everything had changed. My school photos, my birth certificate, even the handwriting in my old diary. It all said, Leela. I ran to the attic again, desperate to find the photo box, but it wasn't there anymore. In its place was a single envelope. Inside was a note written in my handwriting that said, "You found me. Now stay." Days passed, or maybe weeks. I can't tell anymore. Time doesn't move right here. My mom treats me like I've always been Leela. My dad smiles like nothing's wrong. And yet, at night, I still hear someone crying in the attic. I tried recording it once, but every time I play it back, there's nothing but static. I started writing things down to remember what was real, my name, my memories, my life as Emily. But every morning, the ink fades away, replaced by new words I didn't write, words like "she's coming" and "don't forget who you are." I tried to leave the house once, but when I opened the door, I was right back in my bedroom. No matter how far I walked, the house wrapped around itself, looping endlessly, like a maze built out of lies. Last night, I found a mirror at the end of the hallway, covered with a sheet. When I pulled it off, I saw Emily staring back at me, her eyes full of sadness and rage. She mouthed something I couldn't hear, but I think it was, "You took my place." I screamed and smashed the mirror, but behind every shard, I could still see her reflection, each one moving on its own, smiling when I wasn't. And I knew then that I wasn't just living her life. I was her now, or she was me, and the difference didn't matter anymore. It's been a month, maybe longer, since I stopped fighting it. My mom doesn't mention Emily anymore, but sometimes I catch her staring at me when she thinks I'm not looking, like she's afraid I'll disappear again. Sometimes I wonder if I already did. I found that doll again on my bed this morning, the one from the photo. Its face cracked, eyes missing, but it still hums that song, the one we used to sing. And when I hum along, I feel calm, almost happy. Maybe this is how it was meant to be. Maybe there was never two of us. Maybe we were always one person trying to remember who she was. Or maybe I'm still trapped in that photograph, smiling next to the girl who never existed. Either way, if anyone finds this recording, if you ever see a photo of yourself that doesn't look quite right, don't ignore it, because sometimes the thing that looks like you isn't trying to haunt you, it's trying to come home. once it does, you'll never be the same again.